I'm Suli the rapper, and you are watching Bar for Bar with Suli. Quarter life crisis is the little vent-free verse that could. Obviously wrote it in response to various things that took place during 2020. And the only way that I could express myself and that I felt I could unpack what had happened and heal was by putting it in song. Quarter life crisis sort of takes us through this journey of my 2020, and some bits are played up for a dramatic effect. Some bits are there so that we can move the story forward, but it is based solely on personal experiences. They say 2020 is hindsight, and if the lens dirty, then certainly there's a blind side. And if you're not ready for change, that just might take plenty of pain to get your mind right. Throughout this song, I use quite a lot of repetition and sort of this doubling to emphasize certain things. Gives the song some cool pacing. I used a lot of internal rhymes as well. We never really know when the bar is starting and when it's ending because of how many different rhyme schemes are going on within this free verse. But obviously we kick the song off explaining how I'm sort of taking everyone back into time. 2020 is behind us, and just reflecting over the feelings of 2020 that I had when I began writing the song. Apparently I'm that type. Your begins with magic, but apparently I'm not hype. Cause I hate the pressure that comes with the spotlight. Plus I don't like too much pepper in my jollof rice. True story, the first time I ate Nigerian food, I had a nosebleed. Sunday night, Brooklyn Heights, 55 Clark Street. Middle of winter, got them boots around my cold feet. Straight A's and self-doubt, exhaustion had me beat. Till I graduated and returned to the African heat. These bars sort of reference the beginning of my 2020. I was fortunate to be awarded with a scholarship to attend the New York Film Academy for a few months for one of the workshops there. And these bars sort of explain the experience of being in New York for the first time and just all the things that I battled being a student at the New York Film Academy. Imposter syndrome and doubting myself and questioning whether or not storytelling and filmmaking was something that was for me. They say all good things end, and I pretend that I'm okay with how my time is spent, and I descend into a pre-existing show whirlwind till my boyfriend tells me that he wanna be just friends. That slap different like black parents, man, you finna switch up and act different like whack friends. No need to pitch up a plaque or reference back to how we dreamt about a future as black parents, that's past tense. Now I'm presently just tense. This whole section sort of speaks to post-New York, returning to Zambia. It's literally a week after I came back and COVID was declared a global pandemic, and sort of just trying to figure out what to do with my life, what to do with my career. And while sort of being in that headspace, the transformation of a relationship from being of a romantic nature to no longer being of a romantic nature, and just the feelings that come when you're dumped. You know, sort of thinking about everything that you're losing, the plans for the future, all the dreams that you had together. Lyrically, there's this thing that I do concerning time, future as black parents, past tense, presently just tense. So there's this idea of time in its different forms. These bars were actually the very first bars I wrote. I didn't have a beat, I didn't have an intention of a song, but these 4 bars just kept ringing in my head in the aftermath of this breakup. Now I'm presently just tense. I brood and brood, man, I'm Hitchcock with the suspense. Adopt a mood or default to my pretense and deny that I'm affected and invest in something more intense. These 4 bars sort of speak to being faced with a decision when there's this sudden shock, a circumstance that is confronting and uncomfortable, and deciding between dealing with these emotions and feeling these emotions and sort of just ignoring the feelings of discomfort and pain and just powering through. And in my case, just burying myself into something else and really distracting myself with work. So I let my pride get to me. In this concrete jungle, I forget the bare necessities. First a nibble, then a bite. Clean right off the hand that feeds. Forget my worries and my strive. Cook the perfect recipe for disaster. Let my flesh get the best of me. Insomnia remastered. Lost a couple kgs. Can someone tell my pastor? In my church community, these online meetings are messing with my accountability. The section describes that moment after the decision that you're not going to face your feelings and you're not going to accept how you feel about a situation, which I think if we're being honest with ourselves is pride. I think it takes humility and it takes courage to accept how we feel about a situation and to be self-aware. By this point, I had relocated to Lusaka for work, and Lusaka isn't really a concrete jungle, but for all intents and purposes, I refer to it as concrete jungle. We have a lot of Jungle Book references here, specifically jungle, bare necessities, nibble, bite. We're talking about eating, we're talking about food, cook the perfect recipe. There's also, I slid in the famous phrase, never bite the hand that feeds you, but sort of inverting it and saying, first a nibble, then a bite, clean right up the hand that feeds. Cause in my term oil, I turn to burn oil past midnight. I'm buried in work and embroiled in late nights entangled. This bro is not loyal, the burnout and panic attacks from plans foiled. That section covers what happens in the wake of ignoring pain and dismissing pain and burying myself in work and work projects and just distracting myself. Quarter life crisis, couldn't handle pain, so I turned to my vices. Losing life to gain worldly things, dear Christus, variety game is not worth the price list. They say hindsight is 2020. Last year was the war for my life, Niccolo Machiavelli. Not by my power or might, cause that's not steady. Had to hang tight, cause that's life and it's heavy, heavy. I often like concluding verses or songs by harking back to the beginning. So in the beginning, they say 2020 is hindsight. The phrase really is hindsight is 2020. And I suppose stating of the phrase correctly, sort of showing that things are now coming into full view clearly. Things are no longer distorted. Things are no longer clouded by pain or frustration. On the road to recovery, let the Spirit lead. Let my mama's prayers cover me everywhere I be. People talking major key, but there's a push to start. Hashtag Jesus and therapy. I conclude this free verse with this announcement and declaration that a solution is being sought after, and I have finally decided to face how I'm feeling and finally decided to address the hurt, feel it, grow from it and move on. Ultimately, the process of writing this song was very cathartic, and I'm grateful for all the feedback that I've received of people who've been able to relate to various sections of the song. This has been Bar for Bar with Suli. Until next time.